Good morning. It is Monday, April 12th, and I'm back in the garage working on the 4Runner. Some parts arrived in the mail, so that's what I'm going to start with. It's not going to take me too long. Well, we'll see. I shouldn't say that. I think I have everything I need right here. These two parts are what arrived. This is some 3/4 inch diameter wire loom, 250 amp resettable circuit breaker, and then I have some zip ties and some nice flush cut. These are great if you guys haven't used these before for cutting zip ties. They cut them nice and flush with the little square head. One thing I was thinking of doing, since my main plan was just to wrap, this is the dual battery wires, these three here. I was planning just to wrap those three across the engine bay there. But I was thinking about it a little bit more, and since I'm gonna have a bunch of extra on that spool, it's 25 feet. It's, I think, the smallest that I could get, or at least that I saw. So what I'm thinking of doing is, since I ran the wiring down along underneath the door panel and carpet here, the second battery lives right back here behind the driver's seat on the floor of the rear passenger. So the wiring comes out at some point there. I'm thinking that it wouldn't be a bad idea to pull this paneling out and get all that stuff wrapped up, just because why not, since I have it and it could be wearing. I did notice a couple points under here, yeah, just a little bit right there, but as you can see, it didn't get anywhere near going through. So I'm going to inspect it before I wrap everything, make sure everything looks good. Just wanted to show everyone something that might help. I've found helps me, at least. This is a shop apron. It helps jobs like this where I'm about to be using multiple tools off and on, off and on, off and on. Gives me a couple places to store what I need. These have a few big pockets here. The apron, and the added benefit of it is that, not right now since I washed the truck before I parked it. However, if I'm out in the field and I need to do something, need to work on it, having this and being able to lean over it without just destroying everything I'm wearing is kind of nice. Now, normally when I'm working on the truck, I have clothes that are specifically meant to get oil all over them. However, sometimes it might be a little job that I don't want to get all that crap out for, or maybe I don't even have it if I'm out in the woods. But I probably will have the apron just because it takes up such little space, and I work on my bikes a lot and I work on my truck a lot. Getting some progress. I have so far run all new loom around all that wiring, ran to there, to the firewall. Everything's all zip tied up, and now I just threw the battery back in to do some test fitting, make sure my wires are gonna fit without rubbing. Not much for this update, but before I get the battery reinstalled and this area becomes impossible to see, a circuit breaker installed. Found some self-tapping screws that were long enough to make it through the body of the circuit breaker. So I was happy about that. I didn't have to run anywhere. Otherwise, next going in will just be the battery. Two things I did do: I trimmed up the battery mounting bracket, and this is just a little vacuum cap. I had a little pack of them, so that fits over top. So I cut it down about 1 inch anyways, but I have that just in case, and I rounded off the top just to clean it up so it was fairly smooth. Got everything as far as the battery all installed, hooked up, and I just turned the accessory, or the key, to the accessory position since I clearly cannot start. Just wanted to see, and it clicked over, connected the dual battery system. You can see the blue vacuum cap on top of the battery tie down bolt, and I went ahead and installed wire loom around the dual battery cables that run under the driver's seat or carpet. It's really dark in here, so apologize about the shadows and whatnot. But this is where it gets a little weird. I'm sure I could do a better job at some point, but it's not ideal. This kind of sits up a little bit right here. However, I feel a little bit better that it's protected, or it's got an added layer of protection at least. I think once we get the plastic trim piece in, it'll hold it down well enough. At least this part's pretty flat, you know, where the feet travel in and out frequently. Good morning. It is Tuesday, 13th of April. I have a couple parts that have arrived in the mail that'll help me get along here a little bit farther. So just a couple new hoses that are water bypass hoses. These are the old ones. As you can see, pretty old. I have no idea if these are original or not. That clamp is not original. I believe that one may be. Anyway, new guys going in, and then also got the new alternator plug with some new leads. Here's a port for one of them, and you cannot see the other port because it goes all the way under here. And then the other guy is where the finger is. There's a port. Better view it. There it is. So this port here gets connected to the one up there. The throttle body's still not rebuilt. I'm waiting on a gasket, so it's just loosely sitting in there right now. But I did get the throttle position sensor adjusted, tested, so that's good. And with that, actually, I don't think I pointed this out when I was working on it. Or I pointed out the screws that were in there from the factory. They are Phillips head screws, which were very, very difficult to get out without risk of stripping them. So I replaced those on this. And like I said, this is I'm still waiting on this gasket here. This is the old one, which goes under this housing, 4 bolts there. And then I'll replace those screw heads with some more Allen heads that I got. So I got all my parts for the alternator plug kind of laid out. Got the old one and the new one. New one came with, it's nice, 4th extra terminal. It also came, it's got the 3 plugs there. Because the wiring is still connected to the truck in a way that I'm not removing it, I've got to do all this kind of on the truck. So I'm going to move all my stuff over to a rolling cart and get this done. Because once I have that done, once the alternator is complete, I'm going to be able to complete basically this side of the engine bay. I'll be able to get the belts back in, hoses for the radiator, air box, and at least the ducting up over to here. None of the tools, crimping tools that we have here at the house seem to be doing a very good job on this. I can't really try a whole bunch. I was able to pull the terminal I was testing off a couple of times, bend the prongs gently open and try again, but I'm just not getting anything secure enough. It's pulling the wires right out, so I'm gonna solder them on. Because this is such a small amount of wire, I think what I'm gonna do is tin the tips of these. Tips are tinned. Now to slide everything, all the grommets up, get the terminals on, and get this thing finished. Wound up lining the terminals with solder as well, which seems to have helped. I've got 2 of them on. Not the prettiest, but they don't come off. So that's my main goal. Now we have the new alternator plug. All right, little progress. Alternator is in, all the wires are connected, and I have put the radiator hose on. It's a little uncomfortably tight in here. The wires themselves, it's kind of touching the radiator hose here. The alternator is not yet secured. I threw the belt on, but I am waiting for a belt tension gauge to arrive before I tighten down the alternator. And once I do that, then I'll be able to better see if maybe it can move enough out of the way so that the wires aren't touching the radiator hose. Another thing I got the lower radiator hose mounted, and throttle body's still on here, just not even hardly. There's one bolt that comes through that it's just resting on, but I got the 2 throttle body hoses in. So this one, the rear position's clamped. I didn't clamp the front yet just because it's coming back out. So same with this bottom lower one. So it's clamped to the block down there, not clamped here yet. Just wanted to get everything in, everything connected, make sure there's no hoses rubbing where they shouldn't be. I'm tired.